My sister-in-law constantly made cruel remarks about my husband, Jason, because he chose to stay home and care for our family instead of working. I eventually reached my breaking point and, during her wedding dinner, called her out, sharing how Jason had supported their entire family through difficult times. Let me give you some context. I'm 28, and Jason is 29. We've been together for 6 years and married for 3. Our daughter is 1 year old. I met Jason through my brother, who was friends with him because of their jobs. Jason used to be a police officer, and my brother runs a pizza place where Jason would often hang out. One year, my brother invited Jason to Thanksgiving, and that's when we met. After 3 years of dating, Jason proposed, and we tied the knot. I had already met most of his family before the wedding, and they were generally kind to me, except for Janice, my sister-in-law, who is 27. Even though Jason assured me that Janice would warm up to me eventually, that never happened. She didn't openly express her dislike for me, but she would often make subtle jabs, masking them as jokes. At first, it really bothered me, but I eventually got used to it. I chose to ignore her mean comments because I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of seeing me upset. She never said anything nasty in front of Jason, likely because she didn't want to provoke him. Jason was aware of the tension between us, and he made sure we weren't alone together during family gatherings. I didn't want him to cut ties with his family over his sister's behavior, so we pretended everything was fine. We both endured her remarks, even though it was tough, because we didn't feel we had another option. Now, I wish I had spoken up sooner instead of staying silent. I was worried about causing drama or being seen as too sensitive, but I couldn't stay quiet any longer, especially after what happened recently. Jason had been a police officer, but he quit his job a few months ago to stay home with our daughter. I'm the one with the demanding job as a trauma surgeon. Both of us were struggling to balance our careers and raise our daughter. We relied on daycare and our parents for help, but it never felt like enough. We missed out on precious moments with her and feared we wouldn't be around much as she grew older. About a year ago, Jason and I had a serious conversation, and he decided to quit his job to be a stay-at-home dad. I never pressured him into this decision, but he felt it was the right choice since I made more money and he believed it was important for our daughter to have one of us at home with her most of the time. I asked him repeatedly if he was sure about this big change, as I didn't want him to regret it or feel resentful. But he reassured me that he was happy with the decision. Even though he loved being a cop, he seemed content being at home with our daughter and managing the house. He admitted recently that it was challenging at first to adjust, but over time, he's found a rhythm and really enjoys the time he gets with her. He used to dream of being a cop, but now being a father is his greatest passion, and I think that's incredible. Unfortunately, Jason's family doesn't share our view. I should have expected this since they're quite traditional. While they allow women to work, they don't believe men should do household chores. The men in Jason's family think that such tasks are beneath them, so the women end up doing both their jobs and all the housework. Or they're pressured to quit working entirely, like my mother-in-law did. They genuinely think there's nothing wrong with this arrangement. Jason and I see it as an outdated way of thinking, but we've never challenged them because they always come up with excuses for their beliefs, and we don't want to argue. If they're happy living this way, that's their choice. Thankfully, we've created a different path for ourselves. Jason and I have always split responsibilities equally, and sometimes he does more if I have a late shift. Now that he's staying home full-time, he manages everything at home while I focus on my career. We believe that as long as everyone is happy and healthy, and there's food on the table, it doesn't matter who does what. His family, however, disagrees strongly. They're upset that Jason quit his job to stay home with our daughter. They think it makes him less of a man, and they've been arguing with him about it for months. At first, I tried to intervene, but his parents made it clear that my involvement would only make matters worse. Jason didn't want me to defend him, either, so I stayed out of it. After a while, they accepted our new arrangement, probably because they had other things to focus on, like Janice's engagement. Her boyfriend, Harry, proposed after 2 years of dating, and everyone was so wrapped up in the excitement that they stopped criticizing Jason for a while. We were relieved that the focus shifted away from our situation. But then, at Janice's rehearsal dinner last night, the issue resurfaced. We were faced with a dilemma. Janice's wedding was the next day, and we needed to figure out how to handle the situation fast. During the dinner, Jason and I were seated across from Janice and Harry, with other family members around us. Everything seemed fine, and I felt relieved that there was no tension. But then Janice suddenly asked me about my work, and I could sense trouble brewing. I had to answer her, though, so I just said everything was going well and hoped she'd move on. Instead, she turned to Jason and made a joke about how he's now living a life of luxury since he isn't working and is depending on my income. She didn't stop there, she continued with mean-spirited jokes, insinuating that he wasn't in charge anymore. Jason tried to brush it off with a smile, but it was obvious that her words hurt him. I couldn't take it anymore. After months of dealing with Janice and her family's outdated views, I finally snapped. I said what no one else had the courage to bring up, and I couldn't hold back any longer. I told Janice that, while she was free to joke all she wanted, Jason was still a far better person than anyone in her family. I reminded her of how ungrateful it was to mock him, considering that without him, she wouldn't have been able to attend college or even meet Harry. Jason had been supporting his parents financially since he was 18, when his father lost his job while Jason was still in high school. Their family struggled in silence. Janice, too sheltered to notice, was kept in the dark. Her parents and Jason did everything they could to protect her from the harsh realities of their situation. They never denied her anything, even when they were on the brink of losing everything. Jason worked 2 jobs to help support them while his father searched for work. Fortunately, their hardship only lasted about a year, thanks to Jason's efforts and some savings Janice never knew about. This was all kept secret until I brought it up at the rehearsal dinner. Everyone was shocked, including Janice. No one had ever spoken about it, and now she knew just how much she owed her brother. I couldn't stay silent any longer. She had no right to mock him after everything he'd done for their family, while everyone else, especially Jason, stayed quiet to shield her. I couldn't keep quiet anymore. After I spoke, there was nothing but silence at the table. Jason and I left without saying a word, walking back to our hotel room. We didn't discuss it when we got there. I knew it was going to blow up, and Jason knew too, but his silence told me he didn't think I'd done anything wrong, so there was no need for further conversation. The next morning, I heard a knock on the door. It was Jason's parents, and they wanted to talk. We sat down, and they got straight to the point. They told me that the family expected me to apologize to Janice. They said I had brought up a secret they'd kept from her for years, and it wasn't my place to reveal it. They also pointed out that Janice was just joking with Jason, like siblings do, and now she was upset and crying because of me. I realized then that maybe I'd overstepped. Janice had never known about her family's struggles, and revealing it had clearly shaken her. Her parents explained that they'd kept the truth from her because they feared she wouldn't be able to handle it emotionally. Now they wanted me to apologize and tell Janice that I didn't mean what I said. I had until the end of the day to decide, but I had to make peace before her wedding the next day. Jason thought I shouldn't apologize. He believed I was standing up for him, and Janice had been rude to me for far too long. But with her wedding looming, I wasn't sure if I wanted to make her feel worse on such an important day. Her family felt I owed her an apology, but I knew their opinion was biased. I turned to Reddit for a more neutral take, especially since Janice had been mocking Jason for being a stay-at-home dad. Update: after reading the comments, I decided I had nothing to apologize for. Jason and I are leaving because it would be awkward to attend Janice's wedding without apologizing. We'll explain our decision to his parents, but we don't owe them anything. Janice has always been rude, and it's time she faced the consequences of her actions. Jason's family has been difficult since he quit his job, and they've made him feel bad for wanting to spend time with his daughter. We knew they held old-fashioned views, but we hoped they would change. Since they haven't, we don't need them in our lives. They've been critical of us for months, and we're tired of it. It's time we stood up for ourselves. Jason's parents called us selfish for not considering how our actions would affect Janice's wedding. They worried that our absence would steal the spotlight from her big day. Janice even showed up, saying she didn't care if we came to the wedding. But then, she accused me of being selfish and trying to ruin her wedding. We argued, which, while unpleasant, gave us the perfect excuse to leave without causing more drama. They didn't try to stop us, and we left without a second thought. We're done with them for now. If they apologize, maybe we'll reconsider, but for now, we're focused on our little family. We didn't attend Janice's wedding, and apparently, It caused a stir. She went around telling relatives about our argument, making it a bigger issue than it needed to be. Some people reached out to Jason for details, wanting to be part of the drama. But we've kept quiet. We're staying out of it and not engaging with anyone. Janice loves drama, but we're not giving her the satisfaction. We're focusing on moving forward and leaving the drama behind. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Stay stunned.